Hello and welcome to Geek and Biscuits with your hosts Dan and Grant.
Hello, everyone.
Hey mate, how are we doing?
Pretty good, mate. Pretty good. Quite excited today.
Yeah, oh, me too. I'll just in case people can't see it, I'm wearing my Jaws t-shirt, and
Very nice.
I have my Jaws mug, and the reason for that is Jaws happens to be my all-time favorite movie. So I've been very, very excited about this one. First, before we go into our little podcast, I have received an email that I would just like to go through. Just little highlights from this email from one of our fans, if that's all right with you.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Can't wait to hear it.
Okay. So, dear losers. I'm going to start.
Oh, dear.
Dear losers, after previously watching one of your podcasts, I would like to point out that Dan called Jaws the Revenge Jaws the Return. If he really knew his stuff, he'd get on with it like he should be doing right now and stop talking bollocks. You seem to have upset the Jaws the Revenge fan community with your inane babble. And we hope you apologise for this soon. Love all three members. Signed Angry Brian, Thelma, and Grant Charlesworth. What's that all about?
I don't know. I thought my name was quite unique. I can't believe there's another guy around here.
Angry Brian. No, I would like to apologise to anyone. We do know a bit of our stuff, and I did call Jaws the Revenge, Jaws the Return. It wasn't it wasn't thought about at the time. I was just talking about
Much like the film.
I was just talking about really, really, really shitty special effects. So, but we might cover Jaws the Revenge at some point, mainly for roaring sharks and plasticine sharks exploding. So, so I do apologise to anyone.
I'm just trying to block that out.
So I apologise to anyone who cared that I got it wrong. I'm sure there'll be one person somewhere angry.
That'll be Grant Charlesworth.
That'll be Grant Charlesworth.
Unbelievable.
Jaws, 1975, the summer blockbuster.
The original summer blockbuster.
The original summer blockbuster. So awesome. They re-released it 2-3 times, I believe.
1 million times? It still won't be enough.
Yeah, such a good movie. So we'll get on to why it's my favourite movie, and obviously why it's such a classic movie. But as we normally start, what was your introduction to Jaws? When did you first?
When did I first see Jaws? I don't have a real clear recollection of it, and I'm going to tell you something in a minute that will shock you, and it's not one of your emails to me either. See, I think some people are going to listen to this and go, well, if it's such a good film, if it has like such a profound impact on you, why can't you remember where you were? Those kind of, like we discussed before with RoboCop, Ghostbusters, certain things. Yeah. And I think the opposite. I think to me, it's obviously I was born after Jaws was made, like you, but I've just never known it to be waiting to come out or thinking to myself, I want to see that film. It's always been there. Yeah. It's like the thing that I'll tell you that's shocking to you probably is that until I rewatched it recently, that was the first time I sat down and watched it all the way through from front to back. I've watched it the first 70 minutes. I've watched it in 2 parts. I've watched it where I've been watching it late at night and fell asleep and then watched it. I've watched numerous times on the TV and been chatting along to somebody, then had to go, then come back and watched it all through, seen every bit of it. But that is the first time I made a conscious effort, because I think I'd caught it so many times on TV.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, and obviously growing up, and just loving it. I think that I've tried to wrap my brains thinking, surely not. It can't be, but it is, and I find that incredible when I've told like my wife and other people apart from you, because I wanted to drop that bombshell on you today. And I think to myself, well, why
Who
is that?
even are you?
I know, but the fact is that I've like I said to you, I've watched it. I mean, I don't like doing this, but you know, when you watch a film and you maybe put it on in the evening and you watch half of it, or after something happens. I think the first time I actually got it on DVD, I had to go. We had a bit of an emergency, so I was watching it halfway through. Like, obviously, great. Then you could like leave it on pause on your DVD player, and when it'd return, you'd return or revenge. You'd come back, switch it on, and it'd start from the same place, which is a feature
Yeah.
on Blu-rays now. But on original DVD players, it used to like bookmark where you were.
Yeah.
So I think it just got to a point where I knew it from front to back and watched it so many times that it was I'd never really thought myself of never sitting down and watching it. It wasn't until we started this podcast that I thought to myself, no, surely not. So I don't ever think I'd not seen it until then, because every bit coming up, every bit of dialogue, do you know what I mean? Knew it all and stuff. But I suppose it's the same as not watching it for 20 years or 10 years or something. You sit and enjoy it again. And the funny thing is, it didn't make any difference because the quality of the film is so unbelievable that it wouldn't matter if it was broken up into 8 little sittings. It's just so captivating each and every time. So to answer your question and not babble on much longer is, I just don't remember a time when it wasn't there. The theme, everything about it, it's just one of the most recognisable films ever made and will always be that way. So yeah, I've got no clear story or kind of path to finding it. What about you?
It's one of those things that's always, like you said, it's always been with me, and I don't quite remember the first time I saw it. I do remember my gran, my gran brought us up along with my dad, and we used to just watch. It might have been another Diet Coke movie night on ITV.
Oh no.
Yeah. And the one thing that sticks out in my mind is that my gran had seen it. Much like a lot of films she'd seen, she recommended First Blood, The Hitcher, Commando.
Brilliant.
My grandmother's ace. But Jaws was one of them. And we sat there and watched it. But it doesn't matter how many times she saw it. When Ben Gardner's head pops out of the boat, out of the hole in the hull, she shit herself every single time. And I remember this, and the thing that sticks out the most is that she was holding a newly brewed cup of tea. It made her jump shit all over her legs. She jumped up, had to go sort herself out. And then it's sort of things like that stick out. But I was always impressed by it. It's on, I think it's before, I believe it's before my earliest memories, much like Star Wars was.
Yeah.
And that sort of Star Wars was before. I can't tell you the first time I watched Star Wars, but I know it was there when I was really young. So I'm assuming Jaws was the same. I think it helped as well that it inherently sort of hits with that primal fear of. I mean, I am genuinely scared of the ocean. It's not just the sharks and there's things in it. It is a horrible feeling that I don't like going in the water at all. So I don't know whether that's
not a reason not to have a bath, though.
well, that's a bit right out of it. But yeah, so that's always stuck with me. That's it's just. But I think it's just such an amazing film. The way it looks, the way it holds suspense. The characters and the actors who portray them. It's just everything's just such an amazing marriage.
Yeah.
That it's again, so it comes back to just being such a big thing about early childhood. And again, I always said before, we probably remember sequels more. Sequels tend to be, I don't maybe because they're not structured as well, they're more accessible to a younger mind, maybe.
Yeah.
So I remember Jaws: The Revenge. I remember that from more prominently.
That's the one I remember.
And sort of elements of that, sort of the plane being eaten, Michael Caine being in it,
Michael Caine scared an entire family about who think of sharks either telepathically linked or hunting them down from New York to the Bahamas, trying to scare them shitless by flying everywhere really fast and doing tricks. This poor traumatized family.
What a legend. But yeah, always went back to Jaws, and Jaws is the one film that I'm a bit of a stickler for I don't like watching films halfway through. I don't like if I'm going to watch something, I'll sit down and watch
I'm not being judged, am I?
it. You like it. But I don't like sort of dropping into something. I'd rather. I mean, Sky have got a great feature now that if you drop into something, you can press the green button and it takes you back to the start.
That's good.
You know, and stuff like that, which is great. But
Well,
Jaws
the
is the
Coldplay
next.
feature.
Well, Jaws is the.
Sorry. That's so bad. I apologise to everybody.
Sorry, it's tickled me though. It's that bad. Stay with me. I've gone now. But Jaws, Jaws, is that one film that it doesn't matter when it's on, when I catch it late at night, whatever. It doesn't matter whereabouts it is in the film.
Yeah.
If it's on and I catch it, I'll watch it till the end, whether it's 10 minutes from the end, whether it's only half an hour into it.
I wonder if that's a testament to the quality of the film, and that's why I never did sit and watch it from the beginning, because it'd be on and I'd maybe be going somewhere, so I'd watch it until I did. But with a lot of films, I wouldn't even bother. I'd be like, nah, I'm going out of time. Or like you said, if you put it on and you either Brody's out on the boat at night looking for the, looking around, stopping, letting Richard Dreyfuss dive into the water, have a nosy around, or whether they're on the cabin chatting and singing together or whatever, I could just. It's pick it up and play, isn't it? You can sit and watch it from anywhere. Yeah. So I agree. There's nothing worse. Like if me and my wife watch a film or even an episode of something, if it's getting because it's just one of those things. Well, I see it's one of those things where I'm a bit more nocturnal than her, and I know that you are your partner goes to bed before you and stuff. So I'm always one of those people that's like, if you're tired, let me know if you're tired. I want to know if you're going to be tired in an hour and a half, like almost unreasonably, because you're like, I'm not watching this halfway through.
Yeah.
So it is a pet peeve, but I think this film is unique in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's ageless, and I think it's the genius of it. It's that template, like some blockbuster template, and the wonderful thing about Jaws is it doesn't sit in one genre. And we spoke about this before, that it's I would class it, if I was organising it on a shelf, I'd probably put it in a thriller, but it has elements of adventure and action and horror, and it's such an all-encompassing film. There's just so much to enjoy from it. There is literally so much to enjoy from it and take from it, and that's the beauty of it. Considering all the production problems they had, it's
Lazy Shark for one.
Lazy Shark, Bruce, good old Bruce.
Yeah. Is that named after his lawyer?
It was, yes, yeah. That's the genius of it, because of that they held back any reveals of the shark fully until you're at least an hour into it. So your mind then
works.
Yeah, of course it does. Yeah, because all you're left is your imagination, which is an immensely powerful storytelling tool. That's just if things are left to your own devices, things are so much scarier when you don't know what's there. If you get a hint, a flash, a silhouette, and it's just it's your mind can go further than what design work and a production team can go. Having said that,
I think that's why Lovecraft's so popular, isn't it? Because he goes into those kind of like presses gently against them, pokes his head under the curtain, and then you poke back out, and we're left to decide how crazy it is. And
yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I think again, it comes down to the shark, working or not. It's such a behemoth. It's such a beast. And again, it goes back to that primal feeling. It's something. It's in the dark ocean. It's you can't see beneath that surface. It's moving around. Regardless of what you're doing on top, it's just moving around. It's and that's the scary part of it. That's
Well, it is quite funny because I've not got a fear of the ocean. I just don't like weird squiggly things or anything. So if I'm in the sea or wherever, it's always a bit weird. I don't venture too far out or anything. But this is going to sound really strange, but I wonder if it's in the same category of, I used to play Sonic the Hedgehog as a kid, and used to have a debug cheat where you could like cheat the game and go anywhere on the level. So not just a structured path, you could go like through the level.
Yeah.
And every now and again, something would happen where it completely catch you up, and your character just fall through an endless emptiness. And it used to really freak me out.
Yeah.
And I don't know again if that's like a fear of where am I going? I can't see anything but nothing. I know that sounds strange, but I think that may be the same kind of like again fear of the unknown or something. I was only young, obviously, when I was playing it, but I have noticed like that is like we spoke about touching on Lovecraft, spoke about like your mind being a powerful tool and all these great films that show restraint for once and allow you to build up and think, well, what's it going to be like? Because I mean, the best thing surely is people that watch Jaws for the first time thinking the shark's going to be, like I don't know, just like a shark, obviously. But then we see how actually big it is. It's like it just blows your expectations out of the water.
Well, because it's based on the book by Peter Benchley, and I read that novel. And there's so much that they cut away. There's a massive mafia subplot. Hooper and Ellen Brody having an affair. There's all sorts of stuff going on, which the Jetson to sort of streamline the novel. But what I think they got right, not what I think they got everything right. That's why it's my favorite film. But what I think they really got right was the characters and the characters, because they have the humans have the characters have to carry the story. You can't just you couldn't. Well, you probably could now. You couldn't do a film solely from the shark's point of view and just
follow the shark. The life of a shark.
So but it wouldn't. As a story, it just wouldn't go anywhere. It's just
no.
So you assemble an amazing cast around you. Not only get Spielberg, who's coming off of Duel, which is a fantastic film in itself. So the studio are giving him a decent, a nice, healthy budget, and which he goes over, and then shooting schedule, which he goes over. But because of his hand in it, and just his pure direction, it lifts everything, and your actors make the most out of what they've got to use around them, which for the majority of the film is each other. So you've got Roy Scheider, who I think, I don't know if at that point he was, I might get my dates mixed up. I don't know if he'd already done French Connection. And Marathon Man. They might have been after, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it was later 70s, weren't it? Just.
But he's so note perfect for Brody. He was a New York cop who seemingly, we don't get much information, but seemingly had enough of the busy life.
Yeah.
His family to Amity Island for the peace and quiet. And when we get to meet him after the initial attack on Chrissy Watkins, that opening is phenomenal. It's such a great way of building suspense. Initially, it's set at night.
One thing that's always bothered me about the opening, not from a film point of view, just from if I was that character, when they go skinny dipping, I would always be worried about, like, where did I put my clothes? Like, they fly off, don't they? And I mean, that's probably the best drunk guy I've ever seen in a film, when he's sat trying to take his clothes off, falls asleep on the beach, and he's like, hey, I can swim, hey, I can do this, hey, hang on a second, I can't even undress myself, and then collapses. It's just so great. It captures like not over the top, just something I've just noticed, that whether it doesn't make any quality to the film, detract or add to it, but it's just those nice little touches, I think, and it does have nothing. It literally, whether you like that, agree with me or not, it adds nothing to the film or takes nothing. Right, yeah. But I just think it does. It just shows the amount of care that goes into, went into the film.
Yeah, 100%. And it's so like her death is such a, this sort of tension built up. You get the undershot of her legs and everything, and then, but it's the violence, it's the out, and it's the camera's so focused on her ordeal and her pain, and the fact that we understand from the making of it, you've got some guys on either side of the shore on a pulley system,
Yeah.
And the fact that I believe the actress said that they broke a rib doing it, and so her pleas of "oh god, it hurts" is genuine. But Spielberg kept rolling. Well, she's a great actress.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, yeah.
Oh shit, she's
Some
in
more.
hospital. Joey, can you go again? No. But then we're introduced to the Brody family straight away, and he gets out of bed. Brody gets out of bed. He's shuffling about. He's tired. He's and it's that whole sort of where the kids, they're in the yard. They say yard. They're in the yard, not too far from the car, and it's that stuff. You get that they're still possibly Martin's probably still struggling with that move. They're happy they've got away, but it's different. And he makes a point later on of saying that when he's drunk, that is it like 40 years there's not been a murder or a serious crime, or anything. So he's there for the quiet life. His first initial report before the shark attack that he's made aware of is people coming up to him and saying, "Oh, the kids have been karate chopping the picket fence."
That's hilarious.
The
karate class. Yeah.
Someone's parking in front of my store. It's the tiny little things. But he's well respected. He's not an islander, but he's well respected by everyone. Everyone seems to like him. And he's surrounded by, obviously, like his wife, Ellen, played by Lorraine Gary, and his two kids. And it's just how it sort of plods along. The shark attack is almost like, yes, we've seen the violence of it, but Brody just, Hendrix's reaction when they're on the beach, Hendrix of like looks like he's going to be sick. It's gruesome, but that's what they put it down to, shark attack, until the coroner, says it's a boating accident. Because again, the mayor's, this comes to Murray Hamilton's, the great thing about Murray Hamilton is his mayor Vaughan, is so frightened of losing that summer business.
Yeah.
He's such a little weasel, isn't he? He's such a little shit that he'd do anything to keep the beaches open, which comes into play in a big way during the 4th of July weekend. And I think that's, again, it sort of goes along in a slow, nothing much else happens. And then, the attack on Alex Kintner, which is where everything really kicks off. And there's that wonderful shot. Brody's a little bit nervous. He knows something's out there. He knows something's not quite right. Murray Hamilton, so Mayor Vaughan doesn't want to do much about it. He says, whose authority are you going to close the beaches on?
Yeah.
It's not his, he might be the chief of police, but it's almost like, well, you've got no real power other than, sort of.
We give you that power, we can take.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But then again, the next death we see is Alex Kintner, and that's horrific. Yeah. It's a child on a raft, and it's the beauty of it is that he's nervous. Brody's sat on the beach, he's watching. There's the old guy with a swim hat who you see, and he comes up and is like relaxing into his chair, and you get these really nice sort of passes of people walking past, and Spielberg brilliantly uses each person passing to change focus on Brody. You go from sort of wide shot to a close up, medium close up to a close up, and then back again.
Yeah.
And then when Alex Kintner does get killed, there's that massive spray of blood. You see a fin go over.
Yeah.
He's down, and you get that awesome pull. Is it the zoom? It's the sort of.
Yeah, it's like a push and pull effect. It's Godzilla tried to blatantly, just the fact I even mention it makes me vomit a bit in my throat. But
it separates Brody from everything, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it pulls up as if to say there's something dangerous happening, but it separates him from everything else as well.
I almost think it's like that bad news of like when your heart sinks. That it's almost a visual representation of that, isn't it? When it's like, oh shit.
Yeah,
like you said, he's been on the beach, like watching everything, hasn't he? Panicking and stuff, and then it's that like I was right kind of thing, and this is it. So it's iconic.
Yes,
it's brilliant. There's two. Not to skip ahead too far, but it is skipping ahead too far. But obviously to dip my toe further back and then retract. The shot where he's chucking the slop and the fish in the ocean. Yeah. He's got his head facing towards us. and then as he's like swearing and moaning and complaining, and then the shark pops his head out, and he like shits himself, comes back and walks back into the like little cabin part. And I think they're two of the images that I will always. Well, it's probably burned into my memory. Anytime anybody says Roy Scheider, I would honestly it's those two.
Yeah,
That's all it is.
And that's his performance, and all the way through. Every scene he's in, whether he's doing something different or not, he's completely reliable and believable, and that's what's great about him. There's a scene when he's drunk because he's had a bad day after Mrs. Kitten slaps him.
Yeah.
And obviously we've been introduced to Matt Hooper, and Rich Dreyfuss is absolutely amazing in that. It's such a
brilliant,
so laughing and joking its way through everything. It's like that bit when they say, "Hey guys, a good hotel, a restaurant in the area?" And they say, "Yeah, just walk straight ahead." And he goes, "You're all gonna die."
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And he's so good.
He's just got no time for Mazzy at all.
No, just it's amazing. But that sort of little scene when he turns up to, because it's after they've caught the tiger shark.
Yeah.
And they think everyone's sort of really happy. That's the shark that killed Alex Kittner, and you get that guy who goes, "What kind of shark is that?" It's a tiger shark. Oh, what?
Yeah.
And then next he's going, "What's this bite radius crap?" It's like I said, man it up a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, they go on about that's not the shark. So Brody's getting drunk. You've got that absolute beautiful scene between Brody and Sean, his youngest son, where Sean's
yeah.
Oh my god, what a way to sort of take you out of the film in a positive way and just say, this is Brody at home, this is Brody connecting with his son. It's still important.
Yeah.
And it's just so good to see. And then Hooper turns up, and again, Brody's pissed. And it's like his answer to it is, and it's one of my favourite things. I used to use it a lot to excuse me out of things. And it's like, can you do that? Of course I can. I'm the chief of police.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I love it when he's pouring the wine as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
He fills up his glass and gives it to fill in his tiny little glass.
Yeah. But again, Hooper coming in with saying, "I don't know what you were serving, so I bought red and white."
Yeah.
But then he's like, "Would you mind? There's someone's dinner on the table. Do you mind if I have?" And he just pulls it to him and starts eating before they've even said, "No, it's okay."
Yeah, yeah.
But
see what I liked about it as well. I mean, obviously, I will talk more about the characters all being believable and the performances. And if you were dropped off, or if you looked at that film, you don't sit like it's just everybody looks real. All the extras are like real people. Everybody's dressed like it. Or everybody's filmed. Or everybody's lit. Everybody just looks believable. They've gone for substance over style, which I love about it. It's really difficult because I find it really difficult to break down almost like every little thing that I like about it, because it's just now like you're talking about it and like it's just something new will pop up and go, I've got to say that before I can like formulate what I'm going to say. I'm thinking, oh my god, there's this, there's that, and there's just so much that it's just popping through your head, and it's just. I mean, the biggest thing to me is which I was going to say, is that the characters, when they're all discussing things and anything in the film, whether it's when they're talking to the mayor and he's near the billboard sign or whatever it is, he's got the shark on, he's talking about the vandalising bastards. And you've got 2 or 3 conversations going off at once. And that doesn't really happen in modern filmmaking, because it's like we need the audience to either hear everything we're saying, to be crystal clear about it, or we can't have our precious dialogue spoken over.
Yeah.
And I think and I think it just leads the dynamics to believe that they all act and like real people. Like you've got when Brody's trying to tell the mayor, and it's Hooper, isn't it? Richard Dreyfuss. Yeah. And it's like he's talking and giving his story, and then he's speaking over his story. They're speaking at the same time, and then he's going, "Yeah, you tell him this, tell him the part about." And it's what you do see, isn't it, from real people having real conversations, people getting excited. Well, not people hanging around to talk to each other, to wait for somebody to finish or to do the which is one of my pet peeves of filmmaking about you. You know, when somebody's interrupted in filmmaking, Jake Lloyd, when he's like, wait in the vehicle, but I wait. And it's like, it's almost like you might as well read ... Yeah, exactly. And I think that to me was one of the things that I love about Jaws. It's just, like you said, it is so believable. We know what Jaws is. Everyone wants to see the shark, but I think when you watch the film, you don't give a shit about the shark. Yes, you think it's cool. Yes, you want to see it attack, and you want to see it defeated by the end of the film. But it's the story of these characters, isn't it? Like you said about getting a brilliant cast, that lifts the film and carry the film. And I think I know we say like, oh yeah, they make the characters so good, and they portray the character really well, and they bring the character to life. These guys are characters, or every single one of them are. The town feels alive because it just feels like every single person is just, it's just like, you could have stuck some of the shots you could have said to a documentary, could go and take they said it's going to take a couple of shots around the local small town for us, and if you put those side by side, you'd struggle to think about or like see the difference between both shots. Just perfect. I can't honestly speak highly enough of it. I think it is the perfect film for like world building, for actually being dropped into a place and believing that it exists.
You see, you're right. You're dead on. Just going back to the billboard thing, it's so, because it is a little bit of information. Not only you get a Hooper saying about the shark, that they've still got a shark problem. Those proportions are right on that poster.
Yeah,
they say it's got a bite rate this big, all this stuff, and it's like the mayor's not going to do anything about it until this problem comes up and swims up and bites him on the ass, and that's those, and he's getting quite et up, and then he's just like, he's done, isn't it? When Hamilton's saying, the speech will still be open, blah 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 blah. It's like, oh no, I'm not going to stand around here waiting, people to come up as a cooked dinner for this thing. He's aggravated by it because he knows the danger. He knows what they're dealing with. You've got Brody sort of trying to argue. He's the middleman. He's trying to argue the point, and he's sort of trying to calm Hooper down. And like I said, they're all talking over each other. And then you've got Murray Hamilton's bothered about. Again, it's publicity because he says, and I think the line goes like, "Listen, I want those painted happy bastards hung up by the Buster Browns."
He's fantastic, isn't he?
He's so good, isn't it? And it shows that whole, and obviously in the book, it's the town has to keep ticking over for the mafia. That's that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, it's just literally it's politics ruling everything again. The generating people rely.
Which makes it more believable, don't you? Though.
Yeah, that's it. Where he says that this is a summer town and people rely on summer dollars. That's what it comes to. The rest of so and when we get to meet Quint, which is another amazing introduction to another amazing character. Quint mentions, you either do something about it now or you live off of welfare all winter.
Yeah.
And he knows that for a fishing community, for a holiday community, that's not going to fly at all.
No, not at all.
So, so either you send these idiots out on the little boats trying to hunt this thing that they're not even sure what they're hunting, or you get, old Ahab. And but that introduction to him, they're all the townspeople arguing over each other, and saying, "Oh, we're going to close the beaches," and Brody goes, "Yes, we're going to close the beaches," and then everything erupts.
Yeah,
and they're all going, "Oh, I can't do that," and he goes like, "Only for like."
Yeah, the mayor's like 24 hours.
Only for 24 hours, and then someone goes like 24 hours. That's like 3 weeks.
I love that line because that is what someone would throw out there if that actually happened. It is to them. I know it is.
Yeah. And then it's the nails on the chalkboard.
Yeah.
And it stops. Everything stops, and all attention turns around. Everyone, and you get a perspective shot of everyone turning around, and Quint sat there, cross-legged, eating biscuits or crackers or whatever he's nobbling on. You all know me. You all know I'm living, and it's just this. Everything's there. Everything for Quint is set up in 3 minutes, if that. you know,
Yeah.
you know
Well, it's
who he
intrigue as well, isn't it? Though,
is.
like you said, you know everything you need to know about him, but there's still this air of mystery. Like we as
Yeah,
an audience want to get to know him. We like want him to come back because again, we don't see him for a little while, do we? Again after,
yeah,
so
yeah.
it's really nice how he's dropped into like tantalize us and then he's gone
Yeah,
again for a bit.
well,
Because don't we
yeah,
see that brilliant shot of him when all the clans are out in boats, like going around causing a fuss? And he bypasses them all and he's just got that grin on
yeah,
his face like
yeah.
thinking twats.
That's it, yeah.
Like it'll never get caught.
Well, that's it. And again, you see, it builds up. That it does build up that mystery, and we get to all we know from that, and it's so wonderful. Is that there's some charismatic bloke who's polite in the way that when he leaves, it's like, "Chief," he sort of nods to everyone,
Yeah.
But we, by him saying, "You all know me, you all know him, I'll make a living," so we know that they know him and they can trust him to do that.
Yeah.
But it's the way he puts his money up. They talk about, someone makes a joke, don't they, about the reward being always that cash or check, and someone says, "I don't think that's funny," but it's like,
Guy at the beginning, isn't it? Or sat
yeah,
next to the man.
yeah. But he builds up that whole, I'll catch him and kill. I'll find him for. Is it? I'll find him for. I can't remember what the price is, but I'll find him for 8 or whatever. But I'll catch him and kill him for 10.
10.
But from that conversation that if there's anyone who's going to get that done, it's going to be him.
Yeah.
And you're right. For someone who's got the name on the poster, for someone who's triple billed,
Yeah.
with Shaw and Robert Shaw, it was triple bill alongside Dreyfus and Scheider. You're right. You don't see him for quite a while.
Yeah.
But what a way to introduce him.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And then there's and in between you get the incident of the guys with the pot roast, the holiday roast, which again it segues away from the main cast.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful scene because it still sets up. There's something still out there. It's dangerous and it's still
But
hunting people.
we've not seen the shark, have we? Still at this point, obviously.
Yeah.
But it is replaced by barrels by the part of the pier, I think, isn't it? That sits off. So again, it's like visually we've got something to look at because I think sometimes, like I totally agree with you. I think imagination is the most powerful tool, and nothing. But it's that part of growing up, isn't it? If you tell a child or a young adult that this is the scariest thing, not showing an audience is the scariest thing you could see, I don't think they'll have that comprehension of that actually being scary. If you then show them like a random creature or monster, that'll scare them more.
Yeah.
But it's that like maturity, isn't it, of being scared. And I think that's with that, and like with that ethos, I think there's nothing more tedious than sometimes not the Evil Dead cam because that's done on purpose. You see that as kind of a force, but there's nothing worse sometimes than that we don't see it, but then we have a camera's perspective and point of view of something on a like repetitively doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's almost like this creature's too great or whatever to show, or this threat's too, we're gonna not show it, but we're gonna like revel in the fact that we can't show it. Whereas this, it takes away that tedium because you see barrels, you see the pierce, and again, because it's leading up to the reveal of it, it's like you're thinking, shit. Like it's like you've got, even though, because just take away that pier bit for a part and have it from a camera's perspective of the shark. It's not as effective, is it? If you've not got, if you don't see that, and I think it's having that something visual where you're thinking that looks a bit weird, that looks a bit unnatural, and then you're thinking, well, how big is it? Maybe that's not big of that, but how big is the shark? Okay, so it's questions that you want answering, and it's forever keeping you on your toes, isn't it? And it makes you think.
That's the thing, yeah. Because when they drop the meat in and it's attached to a little tire and it bobbles off and it goes off, and it's the fact that it gets picked up and it's, like I said, the pier just comes away. So that thing's big and powerful just by seeing that.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's then the fact that the guy's swimming and it's how the pier turns.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a slow turn, and it starts going back, and his mate's going. I think he's going like, Charlie, don't look back, don't look back. Keep swimming, Charlie, keep swimming. And it's picking up, and then you get. And we'll talk about this in a bit. And, it's a really important thing. We talk about theme that starts, and and it just builds up, and it's because it's like when they're attaching the big fuck off meat hook in the stupid size roast, and then I'm like, oh yeah, they're all about the reward money. I said, yeah, this is my wife's holiday roast. He goes like $10,000 buys a lot of roast.
Yeah.
They're not bothered about how dangerous it could be or that they're completely ill-equipped.
It's just money.
Yeah, that's it. And the same goes for when everyone goes out. Like you said, that scene with Quint where he's sort of smirking at everyone. They're all going
surrounded
out.
by idiots, kind of thing.
Yeah. All the boats are full. There's people chucking dynamite in the ocean. It's just it's mad. But what really sort of hits everything is the attack in the pond. What they call the pond, don't they? But it all kicks off. They've got shark watchers, spotters on the beach in boats. Everyone's prepared. You've got the two kids with a cardboard frame, dicking about. And then it's while all that's kicking off, there's a big panic, big hullabaloo. You see the fin and the tail going down on it from a wide shot. There's a girl painted, isn't there? And you see the fin go down. And she's like, shark in the pond, shark in the pond. And Brody sort of turns around, almost as if to say, his reaction is almost like, oh, what now? Is it another hoax? But then as soon as Ellen turns around and said, Michael's in the pond.
Yeah.
Bang, gone, straight in, and he legs it. And then you get, the guy on the rowing boat. I think something right where they can't get the sail going or something, can they?
No.
With a bunch of kids on Michael's boat, and it's like, guys, are you okay over there? Everything, and all you see from above is a very faint. You can see the shark, but it's very, very. It's not clear, is it? You can just sort of see it as it tips his boat over, and then this fucking leg.
Yeah.
And they originally shot that in a really horrific way, didn't they? They had him in a bucket being taken along.
Yeah.
Bucket seat taken along, sort of blood flying out of his mouth and everything. But that's the thing. That's because Michael's in shock, goes to hospital, and that's what really makes Mareborn, allow them to put the contract out.
Yeah.
For Quint, because then after all this bluster, we get to see another side of Murray Allenton in that, which is lovely. When he's smoking, he don't know what to do. He's in shock himself, and you get that whole sort of Martin. My kids were on that beach too. He's terrified that he could have let something happen to them. And that's instantly from that you get them. Brody walking down to Quint's boat. Oh, you get that sort of in Quint's little his workshop.
It is, yeah.
He's boiling the shark jaw, isn't he? So already he's got them all lined up, so this guy's serious. But then straight away he's in like, I want two cases of apricot brandy or whatever it is. I want this, that, and other. It's my crew, my vessel. I don't need any extra shipmates. And they're like, well, me and Hooper are coming along. So he rips Hooper into being a city boy because even though he can tie a knot, he's got money counting hands.
Yeah.
And Brody's like, you're not going to be like this on board the boat, are you, Mr. Quint? I love it. But the build up to it is when they get onto Quint's boat. Ellen's walking Brody down. He's got his galoshes on and everything. She's on about, has he got this? Has he got that? Has he got his stuff for his nose? And all that. And he says goodbye to her. And Quint goes, he yells something, God damn son of a bitch. That must be Quint. He goes, yeah, colourful, ain't he?
Yeah.
And they're talking about Hooper's equipment. And he says, like, what's this? It's like, anti-shark cage. Anti-shark cage. You go in the water. Okay, sharks in the water. Farewell and adieu. So straight away, he's being a dick. And he rules that roost. He's so good in that. It's the fact that as they're going off, he's singing away.
Yeah.
He's got his little poem about Mary Lee, who died at the age of 103. And it's
All Admin, weren't it, by Sean?
I believe so, yeah. And Sean's brilliant in it. It's believable. But then that's the second half. You're getting into the second half, and I really do think it's the beauty of that film as well. It's definitely, you get the island.
Oh, yeah.
First hour, it's on the island. And then the last hour, last 50 minutes, is all out on the sea,
yeah,
and they're completely isolated, and that's the brilliance of it. That, before they got the safety of being on land, you get the lovely sort of earlier moments, other character moments where like Hooper says, you're afraid of water, but you live on an island. That doesn't make sense. And Brody says, it's only an island if you look at it from the water.
Yeah, that's
But then that's it. They're stuck, all three of them. 3 men on a boat hunting this monster. One of them's experienced. The other one's from the Oceanographic Institute, so he knows his info. He's had a couple of run-ins with, sharks and that, but nothing to this scale. And you've got Brody, who's completely out of his depth.
Yeah.
But he's there because he feels like he needs to be. And again, absolutely. It's such a great character. And then you full on adventure mode. You've got them hunting the shark hunting them. The theme, again, sort of definitely need to talk about it. But you get the adventure music when the orca's powering on, and it's really uplifting.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, it is like the film itself, isn't it? It just so many, like you said, genres it can fall into, like thriller, horror movie, and like when we say comedy, it's not obviously doesn't fall into the comedy genre, but there's a few little funny moments that lighten the tension.
Yeah,
and they are genuinely funny, and I think they're funny because it's like so small time problems. Like you said, the picket fences, and just certain little things like the mayor. When he's talking about the graffiti and things like that, all things that make you laugh because they stay true to character as well. So we're laughing with them, not at them or not at the film. And I think it's such a, like you said, it just touches on so many things. And I think the score reflects that massively.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody knows, obviously, the the main theme, the only thing I can actually play on a piano.
It was a joke, didn't it?
Yeah, he was like laughed and he's like,
But
I think that's because we have like spoke about the thing and certain Carpenter where it's like less is more.
Yeah,
and I think this is definitely the king of less is more approach to a score, where you're almost like it is that sense of it's that creeping menace, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter that it then goes into dun, 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 that people if you said to somebody play the Jaws theme, all they'll play is dun, 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 that's it, and then it just speed up. That's what they'll do. They won't go into anything else.
But it becomes a charge for the shark.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it does build up. But again, you get that lovely adventure theme, and then you get like I think what the class is the sort of orca theme, and I think they probably. Why I class it as that because it's the opening for Jaws 2 uses a different theme altogether. It's still John Williams, but he changes the theme, which I wanted. I wouldn't mind doing Jaws 2 on a later podcast. But
on the list,
well, that's it. But instead of being like, it's like. It's quite sweeping, but then when you pan across the orca, you get the and again, that's a beautiful theme on its own. I apologise for people listening to this and my attempt at recapturing John Williams. Magic.
Yeah. Even though it's a pretty decent attempt, it's close to John Williams.
I try and learn it on the flute with my nose.
Aqualung.
Oh, that's on the list as well. So all these elements, and I think because of the Richard Dreyfuss and Robert Shaw, because of the clashing on set, that really helped the believability of their characters not getting on the boat. You got Quint seems to go out of his way to upset Hooper. He does very questionable things. But when they start off and Quint's fishing, another great way of building up suspense is the fishing reel clicking.
Yeah.
What a way to go! Yeah, it's just that, and it builds up and then it goes, doesn't it? And And Hooper's like, no, it's not a shark. It's not a shark. No, it's not like a swordfish or something, or whatever. It's nothing. But as soon as the line breaks, because we find out it's piano wire, he's like, don't you tell me my business again. It's so full on, and they're combatant throughout, aren't they? They're just And Brody's trying to keep the peace.
It's a knowledge versus experience battle.
Oh, definitely,
throughout.
And Brody's stuck in the middle, and it's only like sort of you come along when things do sort of start getting worse for them, like when Brody he wants to call in for help, and Quint smashes up the radio.
Just throw a firebomb.
Quint's just like so nonchalant about it.
Yeah.
Little things like that when Brody gets his head cut.
Yeah.
It's like talking, he's working on something. He goes, "Oh, you're bleeding, Chief. First aid's in there."
Yeah.
Everything's sort of out of hunting the shark. Things are just, it's almost natural. It's like second nature, isn't it?
He's so laid back. If someone who's quite intense, he's so laid back. He's like totally comfortable in his life, isn't he? He's not going to care in the world. He's the boss, and that's it.
You get around other problems like the barrels. Can't see the shark yet. So let's stick some barrels on it. So we again, like you said, we've got something to look at. We've got visual representation of where it is. And
because sorry, but from that point of view, like maybe a lesser film or a lesser director would have handled it where we attach a barrel and then that's it, and then we get to see the shark. But what we do is we get to know very quickly how heavy one barrel weighs, and then when it's two, and then from knowledge you think shit, three. So again, it works for us.
Yeah, because Quint's so like 3 barrels. He can't go under 3. There's no way he's going under 3 barrels, and then those barrels go under.
Yeah,
and it's like that, and that to them, other than sort of fleeting glimpses of it, they sort of measure it at being 25 feet, which is immense. Like I said, Brody's wonderful reaction to that famous line everyone seems to get wrong. And it's just, oh mate, I love it. I can't. But then you get for those three on that boat, you get one of the most amazing.
That was Adam, wasn't it? His line. Sorry.
I believe it was. Yeah, but you get the one of the most iconic scenes in cinematic history by a well-established actor, and it's all done. It's seamless. His whole speech about the USS Indianapolis.
Oh yeah.
After a brilliant bonding session about the scars, that in itself, they're getting drunk. You've got this is Thresher Shark, and that's I can't remember that Tale of a Thresher when it got him, and they're joking about, and Brody doesn't say anything. He lifts up and looks at his appendix scar and puts his top back down. Involved as it's not it's not an adventure story, is it? It's appendix scar. You get the whole joking about got one here. What's that? Mary Animal Fit. She broke my heart. Quint's laugh. Hooper's laugh is just amazing.
Yeah, Dreyfus has got an amazing laugh.
It's brilliant. Yeah. And you've got Quint pulling out his cap on his tooth. And all that stuff. And he's still laughing after the Mary Ellen Muffet one. It's like, what's that? A tattoo removed. Let me tell you, mother. And he's still laughing. Mr. Hooper. That was the USS Indianapolis. Tone shifts straight away. It drops. You're on the Indianapolis. Brody, what happened? And you get that. It's a phenomenal scene.
It's unbelievable.
It's such a good. Shaw is note perfect.
Yeah,
that. He plays it so well, and within that story, within that 5 minutes, you get everything you need to know about why he is like he is.
Yeah.
And it's almost like he comes across a bit of a bastard to Hooper and to Brody to an extent, and he's very driven, and you can think, he's a bit of an arsehole, this guy. But all that sort of goes away, because as soon as you know what's happened to him, you just think, this poor fucker, what a horrendous thing he's been through in his youth. And it's so sad. And so there's no wonder he is like he is. It is that Ahab story. Someone who's been deeply affected by this creature, that feels the need to destroy. The only thing he can do is go out destroying them. That's
it's
all he's got.
it's his return, like revenge. Yeah, no, exactly. But that's what I mean. I know we're not talking about Jaws 4, but that's always what pissed me off with Brody having a heart attack because he feared the shark, even though he's defeated two. Why is Quint not had an heart attack? And do you know what I mean? It's like boggles my mind that this is a film in 1975 that just gets better with age. My opinion, I think it gets better with age every rewatch. And then you get a film 80
87, I think.
yeah, 87, and it's almost like people don't watch what's come before in the series. It's almost like they've like chucked a book around at some kids at school for a questionnaire, going, "What do we call in a shark film? Someone who can see the shark telepathically." Okay, yeah, brilliant. That's cool. And it's just like this is the thing. Like you say Jaws, and you go, "Oh yeah, shark movie, creature feature," and that's last on the list.
Yeah,
that is last on the list. Like you say, everything about that scene is. Well, it's just like you said, note perfect. You've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
And for a summer blockbuster, you imagine now summer blockbuster, creature feature, state of the art special effects, and these are bottom of the list of what makes it good.
Yes,
Just wouldn't happen, would it? Yeah. I think that's everything. I think I don't even. If you said to me now we ended this podcast, I think I would that to me what you just said that scene. Everything taking place, the switching of like you said, from bonding session to like stark realization of what's happened to him.
Yeah.
And just, I mean, again, from tying that into the score and the theme of it, from tying it into different genres, it is almost like a perfect little window into like that represents the film, isn't it? It shows somebody that scene and say, yeah, this is the kind of thing that Jaws. At first, you're thinking, oh, this is great. It's a nice little character bonding session. It's fun. Yeah. It's great. We can get on with it. And then the next minute, we've got this real serious, real like horrific story, like proper character study of what this guy's gone through.
Yeah.
And I'm watching a film called what? It's about what? A giant shark? What? It's perfect.
And I think it's sort of immediately followed by they're snapped out by it's deathly quiet. As soon as Quint, takes his sip, says he'll never wear a life jacket again, and he sort of just talks about the shark. It bites into someone, its eyes roll over, and all that horrific stuff. And then he goes, "Well, we delivered the bomb." Pulls up almost makes a silent toast, doesn't he, to his fallen friends. Takes a sip, and then you get "Show me the way to go home."
Yeah.
Which, again, it breaks it. You still feel all that stuff from him, but then it's someone has to break that tension. How could you possibly end that scene or follow that scene?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's other than levity, there's no way out of it.
That's real, isn't it? That's again like playing to the characters. If we mean you in that situation with like I say another person, and one of us has gone through that. Apart from showing any bit of sympathy, and by that would be quiet respect. What is there to do? It's not that. It's not like you sat at home telling a story. You sat on a boat hunting this thing and found out that this guy's passed. It's it's everything's true. Everything's born out of how the character react and not what the film needs to happen.
Yeah, and it's just that song. As soon as I heard that, was stuck in my head for life. That song's never going to go away.
I don't want to go to bed.
And it is that build up because Brody takes a while to jump in on that as well.
Yeah, and he's the last one to stop singing, isn't he, as well?
Yeah. So it's he is. Yeah, while the shark's beating the shit out of the orca. Yeah, but then again, that's straight into something else. That's it. They've had a bit of fun. They've had the heartache in that story. They've had a bit of fun. Back to serious, but we're back in it. It's like you are back in the room. There's still this thing out there that you've got to. The orca's being damaged.
Well, is that the bit where he knocks the lantern down and it sets fire and Quint's just like, Chief, would you mind putting that fire out? It's like just nothing phases him, does it? He's like, shit.
And then that's it. You get that then. there's a drive. Then Quint sort of gets to a point where he's fed up. It's not working. What they're doing isn't working. So he says he's going to drive it. He's going to drown him in shallow waters. He's going to get the shark because it's been chasing them. He's going to take them into shallow waters, and Hooper knows that the boat's not going to take it.
Yeah,
and you get the whole. It's that breakdown of Quint's character that he's been so cool up to that point, and then like the smoke coming out of the engine and everything, and he just this. Oh, but he doesn't. To my knowledge, I don't think there's actually any words that come out of his mouth when he's basically telling Hooper to get. He just goes and then the orca breaks down.
Yeah.
And the only thing they've got left is, Hooper's got this equipment. Do you think this little needle will pierce that shark's skin? So they rig up the anti-shark cage.
Yeah.
And Quint's on board with it. He's sort of, it's like got it out of his system. He's on board with it. Everything goes very serious again. Hooper's terrified, but he's got a job to do. And then you get that whole sequence where they're on top of the boat. They don't know what's going off, and everything's done beautifully underwater with Hooper. He's in that cage, in that confined space. This fucking massive thing starts attacking him, and he's gone. He slips out. He can't do it.
Yeah, he should have kept his receipt for that anti-shock.
The Amazon review is going to be awful. Really died. 1 star.
And the 1 star is because I can't give it no stars.
It's because he's a nice guy. That's it. Yeah, probably laughing while I was writing it. But, so then all they've got to go on then is the orca's slowly sinking.
Yeah. And
the shark, rightly or wrongly, it's this amazing thing. It's you've seen in nature documentaries now. I don't, they probably, they would have done the research. I would have thought, but up to that point, when I saw it, I thought, nah, sharks can't jump. But you've seen it on nature documentaries. Great whites will come up, they'll breach the water.
Yeah.
If this, then they've got some power behind them. So this thing does
solar impact as well, don't they?
Sorry. But so it lands on the orca on the aft. Yeah. Poor old Quint, tries to stop himself, and he's straight in, isn't he?
Yeah.
He gets chomped up, but he fights on his way out, and that's the great thing. He's fighting to the last, and that's what I like. He doesn't go out like, oh no, gone. He gets that machete.
Yeah, and it doesn't just swallow him either. I like it that it pins him, like bites him in the chest, and he's like, "You bastard!" And it's just again, it's just absolutely true to his character, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like it came back for him one time, almost like it was his destiny, weren't it? Absolutely. Yeah. But he still goes down swinging.
He does, yeah, definitely. And then you get that sort of compound. Everything it sinks back under the water. Quint goes with him, and then Brody's left on his own on this sinking boat in the in the sort of the living area, and it breaks through the window, doesn't it? It's quiet and it breaks through the window. Take a fucking oxygen tank, you little bastard. Yeah. But even so, when Brody climbs up to the top of the where the crow's nest is. Even though he's hanging on, and the shark's swimming towards him with the canister exposed, he starts firing, and he does say, "Blow up." You know Brody's plan before it happens. He's going, but that's what he wants. He's saying, "Blow up." See, a lot of films would have kept that. They would have left it a surprise. We've seen him firing, and then the shark will blow up. But but it's almost like Brody's, because of he is who he is. It's like he's pleading for it to happen.
Yeah.
So you pay off. I think the payoff
is relatable, though, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Because
like when you're doing a mundane asshole task, like we have we have the bins in the kitchen, right? And in the fall, So you tie it up and you're pulling it out, and sometimes you put too much in there, and you're like, "Come on, you son of a bitch!" And it's like you're talking to yourself, and it's just relatable, isn't it? I know it's done a massive difference. I'm not saying that I'm some kind of hero like Brody is, but it's just that thing again of someone just feeling so relatable and real that like, as far as he's concerned, he's the last one. He's the last man standing, and he's like,
Yeah,
"Come on." Like, come on, you bitch! Like, come
yeah,
on!
yeah,
You know he's got no one there. It's not surprising the shark. It's not the shark's not going to understand what he's doing. But like you said, I do think that some other showy director might have at the last second the canister drops and it reveals itself and he has one bullet left that he
yeah,
shoots. And it just becomes
yeah,
too much of a, oh yeah, it's nice the first time we see it, but it really is so superficial. This is
yeah,
really gritty and you're really rooting for him, aren't you? And that's
yeah.
where tension comes from.
It's the fact as well that the angle that he's on, he starts off almost upright.
Yeah.
When he's on top of what's left of the orca, and he immediately starts. It very quickly starts sort of slanting to a really nasty angle because he's in the shark's path. That's where it comes down to. But then you get that awesome delivery of "Smiley, you son of a bitch,"
Yeah.
and boom.
Yeah.
Well,
Satisfying.
that's satisfying. And then, I mean, in the book, Hooper gets killed, but there's such a relief when Hooper, and that's down to Richard Dreyfuss, is that you like him so much. There's such a relief when he resurfaces. And it's not just that's it, because a lot of films, so especially I would say pre 2000, even up to that point, you would get the bad guy get killed.
Yeah.
And then roll credits.
Yeah.
That'd be it. There'd be no epilogues and sort of and things like that didn't tend to exist. It'd just be you've had your finale, so there you go, off you trot. But this doesn't. You get another beautiful character moment where he's like, and he goes and Hooper goes Quint, and Brody just shakes his head.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what's and there's a little sadness to it, but it's like, oh, what day, should we get on a couple of those? So they get on the barrels, and they start eating. He goes, what day do you think it is? Tuesday, I think. It shouldn't take as long because we're with the tide. And he said, I thought you used to hate the ocean. And they're swimming off. And as the camera pulls away from them, you get a wide shot of the beach. What essentially is an establishing shot of the beach. But all the way through the end credits, you can still see them swimming towards the shore. And it doesn't end until they're on the beach. I don't know if it's a conscious choice, was whether they thought, or the editing was just, let's make sure they're safe before we go to black, before we, anything else comes up, before we finish this film. Let's get the audience to realise that they've swam all that way, they're on the beach, they're safe. You can finish it then.
That's it. We can breathe again. Like,
and which just rounds off, for me, the greatest film of all time, which I know is a hard pick for a lot of people. Someone says to you, what's your favourite film?
Yeah, it is really difficult.
It is so difficult, but it's just what makes everything we've lived.
There's not a film like it.
Oh, no.
No, not at all.
There isn't.
And it's definitely in my top 5, undoubtedly. It's unbelievable. And just going back to where you said you get a nice little character moment at the end when they survive and the joy on the faces and they're like really genuinely like pleased to see each other again. It was the same. I really liked the moment when they introduce, because obviously he introduces himself. Well, he doesn't introduce himself. They meet and he asks him what he wants doing and things like that. And then he comes back into his little hut and then he does introduce himself as the biologist. And it's like where he's got a big grin on his face, like, really nice to meet you and stuff. And it's like, again, that stuck in my mind because it's just to most people, maybe they'd think, oh yeah, it's just two characters that are introducing themselves to that. But again, it just adds to the like richness of these characters and the setting.
Yeah.
That like he's all this shit's happening and he can't keep track of it. And then he meets this guy, the expert, that he thinks is going to help him. And suddenly he's back to smiley, happy, nice to meet you, blah, blah. And it's just, again, real, isn't it? Like when you're in the shit as a person, when we've been at work or our personal lives, and then something comes along and gives you that little bit of relief or hope. It's like you get that smile through again, that little ray of hope. And rather than having a shit ton of dialogue or exposition dumped on you. You just get those little character moments, and that's what I love Jaws for. I love it for I love Jaws 4, not Jaws 4. But that's what
sorry, I was just going to say that
no.
I think it says something about their friendship, because I think it really plays into the fact that Brody is an outsider, and that the person he has the closest relationship with is someone who's an outsider as well. It's someone they've had to bring onto the island, and I think that's a nice element to it.
There's a line, isn't there, when she's like, "How long do I have to be before I'm considered part of the town or something?" Oh, an islander. And she goes, once you're born here, you're an islander. If not, that's it. You'll never be one, or something like one of us. And definitely.
Yeah. Just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. And I can't recommend it either. And I think it's one of those films that I'll be showing Mike, as we've already showed our eldest. She loved it. She absolutely loved it.
And that's what annoys me about. Sorry, that's what really annoys me now. Just thinking about your eldest and stuff. That's what annoys me about when you get films now, and you get specific films that are like gone through almost like a questionnaire and a poll and test audiences and stuff to say this is what you guys should like. But actually, Ghostbusters, Jaws, you sit and watch people talk and set the scene, and you're intrigued by it. And when you was a kid and you watched that, weren't you watching them in the cabin and thinking, this is an adult scene, I'm enjoying this, I'm such a grown-up and stuff. It grew us up. It made us improve our almost ability to watch a film. I thought Sorry for interrupting that. I just think you showing your eldest that, to me, again, it's a good sign of just. I just think it gives. I don't know. I just think it's just fantastic that a film that doesn't hold your hand and people of all ages can enjoy the film.
Yeah. Oh, I said to her earlier, actually, just because she knows we do the podcast and that, and I was sort of like,
hello.
I was like shifting her out of the way, and I said to her like, "Oh yeah, because it's this," and I said other films in its ilk, but not to the same standard, like like Deep Blue Sea, and she's like, "Oh, what's that?" And I said, "Oh, it's Clever Sharks," and it was like
George.
But I told her about sort of Deep Blue Sea, and she was like, "Oh, am I seeing that?"
Yeah,
because because I said it's not similar, and it's not in the same class as Jaws.
Oh, not in quality, is it?
Yeah. But likewise, I probably might be a bit too young for it, but we watched. Is it Crawl?
I've not seen that yet, but yeah.
Oh mate, it's such a good movie. It really is. It's a brilliant film. But that was, again, it's these little things that I want her to enjoy. I mean, I were enjoying them a lot younger than what she's 9. I was enjoying them from a lot earlier age. But I'm glad she's discovering those things, and I'll just continue to bombard her.
Well, it's almost like you're Quint and you're putting Hooper through the paces, aren't you? Yeah, she's going to be earning her movie stripes.
That's it. I'm the grizzled old sea captain.
My father was a tree.
Yeah. But that's great. It's great she enjoyed it. I wouldn't have said if she didn't enjoy it. I wouldn't have locked her outside for 3 days. Not over Jaws anyway.
No, I mean, no, just a lot of opinion.
Just for clarification, we don't lock children in cages outside. That's a very, very naughty thing to do.
Comedy.
But yeah, that's it. Again, I wouldn't be upset if she didn't like it. I'm just so glad she did. It's great to pass these things on.
It is because because it's not like filmmaking has changed, and I get that things have to move forward. But some of the things that make Jaws fantastic are things that shouldn't have really moved forward. Like, we should be telling stories through great characters and great settings, and you've got could you imagine now, like, this film being made now and the special effect doesn't work? You'd have directors walking off left, right and centre. Instead you get I was thinking of not having the shark for the first hour or so, or just for the first 40, 50 whatever minutes, And that's kind of like definitely made my mind up about this.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is we need to use our heads and figure out a way to tell the story the way I was thinking. I mean, to give credit Spielberg credit, he was thinking along those lines anyway. It's not just like it was that. But instead, we just focus on all the wrong things. I think we go forward again, a bit like Jeff Goldblum, isn't it? We go forward so fast we don't stop to really think if we should, if we're going along the right lines.
Yeah, but again, that's the natural successor to Jaws for me. Is Jurassic Park. That's it.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's,
The awe of nature and power of nature and stuff like that. Yeah.
Again, in the film, I'm going to do Jurassic Park soon as well. But it's how I hope you get that cold opening with that death of the workers set at night. You don't know what's in the cage. If we know it's later on, but you don't know what's in the cage. It's tragic. Another tragic death, and then you sort of move into something else. And the same with Jaws. So there's a nice imprint, and it's a testament to Spielberg's filmmaking and storytelling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just amazing. So, my final thoughts would be that if you haven't seen it, obviously, if you listen to this podcast, you know everything that's going to go on in it. But if you haven't seen it, please see it. If you have seen it, like we always say, watch it again. If you've got family who haven't seen it, get them to watch it. Sit down. It is. I think you can fully enjoy it as a family film as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Everyone likes being scared together. That's that's why we enjoy Halloween so much. And
of course it is.
So I think
out of your feelings that are out of your comfort zone. But you're in safety in numbers, isn't it? As well, like a theme park ride or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So John. The only thing I would say was absolutely criminal is that they got rid of the Jaws ride at Universal Studios.
Absolutely shocking.
Because
shocking.
I think I went on that when I was 15, and it was amazing. Just such a shame they got rid of it. But anyway, about yourself, final thoughts?
Yeah, I like you. I think that our podcast doesn't do it justice. No, we're there. I think Joe Rogan couldn't do it justice. It's just one. It's just one of those things, isn't it? It's just we're sat there talking about our greatest scene is between three men chatting in a cabin. It's unbelievable. I don't even want to. We've spoke about it, but I wouldn't even want to go further anyway or add anything to try and get it. Just watch the film, and and I don't feel bad for sat there and not have watched it from. That's my first time. There probably is a time actually I've sat watched from beginning to end, but I have no recollection of it at any point. Like when I watch a film, I'll go, "Oh, that's when I first saw that bit," or "This is what was happening." I do kind of get to relate things when I first saw what was happening, how old I was. But like I said, I'm like you. It really pisses me off when halfway through a film or I have to stop a film or pause it. Like I really don't like it. Like when I used to live at home and we'd be watching something together, me and my mom or me and my dad, and then like knock on the door, "Hello, anyone in?" It's like, "No, go away." Or if it was like a film on or something we rented it, it'd be curtain shut, door locked. If anyone knocks on the doors, we pause the film and shut the fuck up. Thanks, Dad.
Sorry, go on.
No. I'm just saying, just to tie that up. Sorry, just before you go, I was just saying that adds to me. Hopefully, that gets across the message of how good the film is. That I break my rule for this film.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's it. 45 years on. It's 45 years old this year. The fact that it's for me, it's the greatest film of all time. A lot of people, I do know people who love it just as much as I do. But that says a lot. That a film that's 45 years down the line is still entertaining people. It's still, it works incredibly well. Just, amazing. Just amazing.
Well, there's I'm based now in Norfolk, and there's a few, because of obviously the pandemic that's going off and stuff. Don't know if you've heard about that, but there's a few like pop-up drive-through, not drive-through, kind of like drive-in, whatever they call it, movie theaters, cinema screens and stuff. And there's a few like The Exorcist stuff. Some really good films on there.
Yeah.
Like one of them was Jaws, and I was thinking, oh, really, we should have saw that later. But I mean, I always like to watch a film before the podcast because there's little things it's nice to pick up again. But I still think that I would go and see that, and I think that is the perfect film for something like that. Spectacle, but
yeah. So I was going to say, our 40th anniversary. I went to see it, the reissue, when they released the first Blu-ray. I went to see it at an Odeon. I know was it a View? I can't remember. I went to see it anyway at the cinema. So it's being able to see that on the big screen how it should have been seen.
Oh, I bet it was incredible.
Oh mate, I mean, there's places where they do it where you sit on a lake in rubber rings.
I've seen, yes. How good would that be?
Yeah,
That'd be
amazing. Yeah, but yeah, so yeah, fantastic, mate, brilliant.
No, it's there's so many great performances in cinema and stuff like that. But these three guys, almost you forget their acting. You feel they are their characters, and I think that's what keeps you coming back.
Definitely, yeah, and I will. I've guaranteed I'll watch it probably twice again this year.
Oh yeah,
if not more. Yeah, with my t-shirt and my mug.
Good. and your pants and your socks.
My pants and my socks. Just my pants and my socks. No one wants that. No one wants that image. But, would you? Yeah, very much. Would you like a tease for our next show?
Wait, you mean would I like, or would I like a tease from you? I would like. Which what were you saying there?
I'll tell you what. You give me a tease this week.
I'll give you a tease.
Give me a tease.
Well, I do a tease because I'm not used to the teasers, and then I'd like to see your tease. I hope somebody doesn't switch to this point and actually switch to this bit.
What the fuck are they on about?
Yeah. Oh, how could I possibly tease this next film? I don't have a beautiful singing voice like you for last week, so I'm just going to say Haunted House. In space.
Yep.
Who let the milk out?
So all I was going to say was, before we get into anything else, I'd like to talk about the bonus situation. We'll leave it at that.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for waffling on about Jaws.
It's been a pleasure as always, mate.
Yeah, cheers, mate. I appreciate it. Yeah, and yes, we'll be back soon. And if you like what we're doing, as always, please give us a like. Share us everywhere. You take this video and run with it. If you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe, please. That'd be lovely. We'll keep going as long as you're listening and watching. We're on Spotify, through Anchor, SoundCloud, all the other places. Just search Geek and Biscuits. We'll be there. Look for us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And we shall see you soon. So thank you very much.
Yeah,
it's goodbye.
Goodbye from me, and show me the way to go home.
I'm tired, and I really do want to go to bed.
Yes, I do, and I really need to go to the toilet.
See you later, mate. Goodbye.
Take it easy.